Hello, hello. I want to welcome you to this Saturday's Off the Shelf. This is June the 20th, 2026. I mean, time is just blowing by. We already getting near the end of the month. We have an awesome author on deck for you who I am excited to introduce to you, our Off the Shelf listeners. But before we start, I want to leave a quote with you as I do on the show. If you are not willing to risk the usual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. And that is from Jim Rohn. And I think we came here to do great and marvelous things. So I hope that you do risk the usual. I encourage you, as always, to visit me online, my official website, where you can sign up for my newsletter, The Book Lovers Haven, which is free. And that is www.chistel.com. And I thank you for that. And now, drum roll, let us go and meet our very special author guest, shelf guest this morning. And this morning's guest is D.A. Murray. And D.A. Murray is a new writer on the feminist speculative fiction sphere. She masterfully balances her roles as a tech executive, debut novelist, and influential digital content creator. Her debut novel, Dominion Ascension, introduces a bold new narrative that reimagines gender dynamics in a post apocalyptic world, challenging traditional power structures and exploring themes of female leadership and resilience. Mary's work resonates with readers seeking stories that champion feminine strength, autonomy, and societal transformation. This is a Chicagoan, but I don't want to tell too much about her as I want her to share a lot, but she has cultivated a significant following on Instagram and TikTok where she connects with audiences through her authentic storytelling and discussions on literature. If that's not enough, she has an economic background in economics and Japanese from UCLA and an MBA from Kellogg Management School. And I encourage you to visit D.A. Murray online at damurrayofficial.com, and that's spelled Damurray official.com. Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you on Off the Shelf, DA. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here on this amazing Saturday morning in
Yes.
Chicago. It is
Okay.
sunny, it is warm, and the day is just beginning. So I am really thrilled.
Awesome, awesome. To kick off today's show, can
Yeah.
you tell Off the Shelf listeners where you grew up and what life was like for you growing up?
Sure. Well, I'm actually originally from the West Coast. I grew up in Berkeley,
Ah,
California. So, yeah, and growing up in the Bay Area was an exciting time for me. The one thing I've always been blessed to have is to always be in a multicultural environment. So, and I think one of the things that really does help you do is you just learn that there are other people out there in the world who think and see and do things differently than you. And that is a-okay.
yes. Oh,
And so I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have had that type of perspective growing up. And I mean, I actually came to Chicagoland area probably almost 20 years ago, really just to pursue my MBA and to continue my career. But I have been writing my entire life,
interesting.
but not professionally. I really didn't kick off my professional career in writing really until maybe just a few years ago. But prior to that, it was just, writing poetry, short stories. I mean, I was always writing, and so it's such an incredible kind of turn of events to be able to actually publish my first novel and to publish a novel about something I'm so passionate about, which is the rights, the role, and the vision for the just dynamic power of women in our society today. So this could not be a better time, I think, to talk about that, to have these conversations, and to be bold about it. And so I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. Before we go into your book, and which I want to ask you to, give us a brief overview in just a minute. What did you dream of being? You've done so many things. What did you, when you were a little girl, what did you dream of being when you grew up, when you were still a kid?
That's really hard to say. I mean, I think I always knew that I was going to be in business. I was going to pursue a career in business pretty early on, but it started off in finance, and then I kind of, as I went through my career, I kind of went into marketing and sales, and then it was like from working in the CPG or consumer packaged goods or industry into working into the technology industry. So the one thing I've always said about my career path is, I love the fact that I've zigzagged as opposed to just kind of going a straight and narrow, because I think when you zigzag, you have the opportunity really to get a much more robust and dynamic perspective about business and what's happening in the world and how you can think about things differently. So I'm really excited that I haven't had this kind of a typical path. I've had a very, very, what I consider extraordinary path, and I'm all the better for it. So
Okay. Now, on to this awesome, awesome novel. Please introduce us to Danny Matthews. What's her personality like, and why is she beginning to question what she's been taught?
yeah. So Danny Matthews really did, early in her childhood, she grew up knowing that, there was just something very different about her relationship with her mom. And there was something very special, a very special bond that she had with her dad. And she went through a number of experiences in her childhood that made her question, is is the truth being presented to me? Is my mom being honest with me about some of the realities that have transpired, where the US has, during her childhood, gone from something that we very much know and understand, and what she knew and understood, to something completely different, which is dominion. So she's had to
Oh.
transition into this very different society, but again, at a very, very young age. So there's only so much you're exposed to, around that kind of 6 or 7 year old perspective.
Mhm.
But she's grown up and she's becoming an adult in dominion. And I think her choice of career to become an investigative reporter, her relationship with her mother, and her other family members, is very much around trying to find the truth, right? And so that's the thing about her, is that she is coming of age in a very, very different type of world than what we know today. But I think in a world where she really is not willing to just accept what's put in front of her. She questions everything, as she
Mm.
should. And so I think that puts her on a really, I think, a very challenging trajectory of trying to balance, how does she continue to explore the truth around her upbringing and the truth around her family dynamics, but at the same time exploring the truth of this society that she's a part of, and really trying to find her way. And it's a really interesting character, and I think it's a character that, frankly, when you think about it, what female doesn't go through questioning what's happening in her family life, what's happening in her professional life, what's happening in the world around her. And how do you reconcile all of that and start to think about what relationships look like, professionally, personally, romantically? How do you balance all of that in a world that really just wants to tell you how you should be thinking and living your life. So I
Wow.
that's the thing I love about Danny, because she's coming into herself during a time where she has all the runway in the world to do that, but at the same time, she's afforded a luxury that many, many people during that time are not, which is the luxury of freedom, the luxury of being a woman and not a man, and the luxury of being a daughter of a very influential woman in this new society. So I love the dynamics of the story, because I've had a lot of fun with bringing her to life in the book.
Okay, when you say speculative, she sounds very like a very intriguing, interesting character. Now, I'm trying to picture for our listeners what is like this society, or can you give us like an
Yeah,
overview of the book
yeah,
itself,
yeah,
Dominion Extension, and what's going on? What's going on in society at this
yeah,
time?
yeah. Well, it really does. Dominion is created off the back of a very, very devastating war that
Mm,
has rendered not only this country as we know it, the United States as we know it, has become decimated in the majority parts of it, and the society has to be rebuilt. But also, men, for the most part, have become cognitively impaired, and many of them have become infertile. So it is the responsibility
what
of the
caused that?
women.
I'm sorry, what caused that? What caused the men to be?
Uh, Biochemical warfare. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, the Great War, and it was a unexpected result, but nonetheless, women had to step up to really rebuild society within the context of being they are front and center in terms of the power structure. And
okay.
so that's really, kind of the dynamics of Dominion. But Dominion is a very young society. And the reality is that it's a society for which, even though you have this complete change of men being in a much different type of role than they have been in the past, there's a lot of upheaval in government, um, out in the world, people wanting to see things done differently. And so that's what Dominion is about. It's about who has the power and what are the folks who have the power willing to do to retain it, and the
Mm.
people who don't have power, what are they willing to do to try to get it back? And
Oh.
so it's a really interesting dynamic from that standpoint. But at the same time, you have this character, Danny Matthews, who's seeing all of this in front of her, but also recognizing that she has a role to play that's much bigger than just being the daughter of this very powerful woman. She's got to really make decisions about internally who she is and the role that she wants to have in trying to reset what she believes is a wrong. So
Mm.
I love the that I love her character for that,
Okay.
and all of the experiences that she has to encounter. This is a world where technology really does dictate so many aspects of society. It dictates what men can and cannot be in society, their role in society. It dictates uh, specifically around what truth can look like in terms of the political structure. It dictates so much of what we take for granted, information, what the truth looks like. So it really is a powerful mechanism within society, but it sits, kind of in the background, but it's always there, and it's always something that folks have to acknowledge and really it comes to the center of just about every core decision that's being made in society. So I think that's a really interesting dynamic to see how society is wielding influence in this new kind of modern day culture or society. But again, at the end of the day, the major question is it people who need to catch up with technology, or is it technology that needs to catch up with people? And
Oh,
so I love the fact that there's so many different challenges that the protagonist, Danny, has to deal with to find the truth. Because every single time she reaches out and she goes through an experience, and there's a pretty robust number of experiences, a
mhm.
journey that she takes, and and the further she goes, the more she learns about Dominion and the truth behind what
Ah,
stands today. So it's
okay.
exciting.
Introduce us to two or three other characters to help move the
Yeah,
story
yeah.
story forward.
Yeah. So Danny actually, her journey really does begin when she reconnects with an old family friend. His name is Robbie. And they were great friends. And at the age of 12, Robbie was taken and brought into something called the colony, where he served as a breeder. So he grew up and they are reconnected some like 18 years later. And now there's this very important choice that Robbie has made, which is to leave his role as a breeder and to find a place called Haven, which is a place where he can actually become part of the resistance that is trying to get back the power that men once had. So,
Wow.
yes. And so Danny goes on this journey with him to Haven. And in that quest of finding Haven, they encounter along the way these different individuals. They're called elevators, if you will. And their role is to help them, you know, to safety, to get them from one place to another to safety, because essentially Robbie is now a fugitive. So he's got to get to Haven with Danny, and with every stop along the way, they learn something new and different about this new world, which is Dominion. So
Mm.
that's one particular character who's incredibly important. Another incredibly important character is someone by the name of Gideon. He is actually the leader of a militant group called Pollux 5, and they essentially reside in Haven, which is where Danny and Robbie want to go. And once they are there, he becomes a very dominant force in dictating their experience in Haven. I don't want to give away too much in terms of
Mhm.
what happens there, but let's just suffice it to say just the fact that they showed up doesn't automatically give them license to just to stay there.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So Gideon is a really important character because he wants to reclaim the position that he had, as well as the role of women, excuse me, of men in society. So he's an important part of this. And then I think another character that comes up consistently in just many of the book clubs that I attend when they're discussing this story is someone by the name of Karis, who is an elevator, someone who's helping them get to Haven, and her backstory is incredibly interesting. A woman who is helping them escape. Why would she do this? She's actually part of the system. She's a police officer for,
Ah.
for the most part. So why would you betray, society you're supposed to be upholding? the role and the power of Dominion, and why are you going against that, and portraying the country essentially. So she has a very interesting backstory in terms of why she's made the choices that she's made. So everybody in this book, every character in this book is essentially fighting against being put into a role that they just don't quite fit into, but how do they have the way that they have to completely reset is really the interesting part of the story for every single character.
Oh, it sounds so interesting. Oh my goodness. As we start to close up today's show, and oh my God, I could just keep talking to you and talking to you. Are there any plans on turning Dominion Ascension or Dominion into a book series?
Absolutely. Book number 2 is well underway.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's been the focus of my attention for the most part right now, is getting that packed and ready to go. And there'll be a third book as well. Um, but I've been really excited about the attention that the book has gotten, between, just obviously I mentioned earlier, meeting with a number of book clubs, and there's an amazing book club kit that sits on damurrayofficial.com, which is my author site that you can just download, and it's full of things like games and discussion questions, and there is a whole cocktail menu and a culinary menu, because one of the things that's also in the book are just some great drinks and
Okay. Okay.
and the foods that they eat, and that's an interesting aspect of what you see in there too, which is a lot of fun. But I'm excited about it. Dominion also won a gold award at Bookfest recently.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes, and
Awesome.
was a
Congratulations.
finalist. Thank you, thank
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
a finalist in the National Indie Excellence
Okay.
Award. So I've been really excited about the accolades it's been getting, and just a lot of the conversations that have been spurred as a result of the content in the book. And I'm so excited that people want to see the next book. Really excited about
Awesome.
that.
Oh my God. When do you expect the next book to be out? And it will be
Uh,
next year, this year?
I anticipate definitely next year for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If it's one thing I'm sure as an author, and others as authors out there, the process of bringing a book to life is a very long and arduous one, and it's great to write it, but the editing and just it's so much. It's a lot. By the time the book
Yes.
comes out, you don't even want to look at it
So
because
much
you're
work.
so tired of
Yes,
looking at
yes,
it, and
yes. Oh my
right, and
God. Now
redoing
time to
everything.
market it. Yes.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
can you
Yeah.
tell us where people can get copies of Dominion Ascension?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the easiest way is just to go on to damurrayofficial.com, and you can actually see all of the locations. You can get the book off of amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com. And there's a number of bookstores that are listed on there too that carry the book. And so that's one way that you can just kind of find out about it, and find out, what is the best place to purchase it. There's also the option to purchase it at bookstore.org. So all of the independent bookstores, if you want to support that, and I'm a strong believer
Mhm.
in supporting independent bookstores, the experience is second to none. And we need to do more of that, I
Yes,
think, in
yes,
ensuring that those
yes,
businesses are thriving and
yes.
continue. So, but yeah, so much, and also all of the different appearances that I'm making are also on the damurrayofficial.com. But you can also go on Da Murray Official on Instagram, TikTok, and I have all of the information on there too, where you can go buy the books, and how you can get to the site. And then I also do a lot of content creation, talking to people about their favorite books, and all of the postings about all of the appearances that I make, but also seeing what people are reading, right? And what's really getting people excited these days about books. And I love talking to people about books. So
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And you figured, figuring out, it sounds like some of the social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok. So, and then, they call that what? Book talk, or that
Oh
it's
yeah,
that
book
it's
talk.
really, but people say you generally have to post every day or on TikTok to really start to grow your audience. That's what I've heard. You got to be very consistent about.
Yeah, kids consistency is absolutely key. I don't think you necessarily have to post every day, but I do think doing it at least 3 times a week,
Mhm.
and if you're gonna do it, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or if you wanna do it consistently. Don't do it sometimes and then fuck it up. That's the biggest thing is you gotta be consistent with, the content, and I'm a strong believer in posting, like unique content, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be perfect. It just has to be real. And I think that's the thing that really gets people drawn in is when they see that this is actually, you're talking to a real person or you're talking about something that isn't kind of artificially, kind of generated or
Mhm.
so I think the authenticity of your engagement is a really important aspect of content creation.
Okay. Oh my goodness, we have just had the absolute pleasure of just having Miss D.A. Murray on here on Off the Shelf today. She's such a very diverse background, an academic background in economics and Japanese from UCLA, her MBA from Kellogg Management School, and this is her debut novel, and it's already winning awards. Dominion Ascension by D.A. Murray. Her official website is again damurrayofficial.com. We have just You've just been a wonderful, wonderful guest. I could go on and on and on talking with you. Thank you, D.A. Murray, for being here with us. To our off the shelf listeners, as I always tell you, you are so incredible. You are amazing. Go out and create a fabulous day for yourself. See you back here next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard or New York City time. And D.A. Murray, I will send you a link to the show when it finishes streaming. Thank you so, so much. Bye for now.
Thank you. Have a great day.